Have you ever had night terrors? Do you see the movements of beings out the corner of your eyes? Have you ever spoken words and minutes later it happened? Are you looking for answers? Then seek them here. Creative Inspiration Radio is now on with your host, Iolande V. Argent.
Hello everyone. For those of you who are new to Creative Inspirations Radio or daymuse.com, or you haven't heard of me, I'm the producer of the Roads Less Traveled series. My name is Iolande V. Argent, and it's going to be debuting on Cenotaph Television. You can see it or get a glimpse of it at cenotaphstudios.com. Today we're going to talk about a couple of my fun favorite spots that we will be premiering on the show. For those of you who are into spirits and ghosts and things that go bump in the night, one of the favorite places you'll find all of that is in the Pacific Northwest. In this specific case, we're going to be talking about Seattle. This is where I and my crew feature places of interest for intrepid travelers that like to go to the off spots. You're looking for some vintage accommodations, you're looking for some forgotten history, some of the good stuff. Now, on this edition of Creative Inspirations Radio, I'm going to be talking about a couple of those places in Seattle, Washington. And if you're in the process of making plans to visit, well, you might want to check these places out. Just because. They're not overcrowded, it's not overpopulated, they're totally not overdone. In fact, they're off the beaten path. And it's great because they're also under $30 per person to visit. And you can have a lot of fun between 2 and 3 hours while you're there. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Private Eye on Seattle Murder and Mystery Tours. There are 4 tours that are offered. There's the Queen Anne Murder and Mystery Tour. There's the Capitol Hill True Crime Tour. There's the Spirits of Seattle Ghost Tour. And, of course, there's the Haunted Happenings. These are great for any fans of the true crime and or haunted hotspots like, yours truly. We love the pulp fiction detective novels, the whole nine, and this is where you're going to get those. All of those experiences. All of these tours, they're a great way to spend time. You get to see a whole lot of Seattle that nobody ever talks about. And, by the way, if you are squeamish and you have a, pacemaker thing happening there, we do not recommend you visit. But if you're curious, why don't you pop on over to www.privateeyetours.com. Yes, that's Private Eye, like the mystery shows, and you'll get some information on how to book a tour. Another one of the favorite places that we will be covering, and it's a great hotspot, however, there are tourists there for good reason. It's the Science Fiction Museum and Hall of Fame. Now, if you're not fascinated by sci-fi and all of that good stuff, it doesn't really matter, because they have now combined with the Experience Music Project. And trust and believe it is an experience that you would like to have. The tours there run between $20 or $15 if you're for an adult and you book online. They also have pricing for children. I recommend going over to www.empmuseum.org and you can get all the information you want and you can get your tickets there. So the good part about visiting Seattle is that there's so many fascinating things to do there in the surrounding areas that you don't just have to see the Space Needle. Although, it wouldn't be Seattle if you didn't visit the Space Needle. Anyway, that's it for this edition. Tune in again and I'll have more insights into paranormal, parapsychological, wow, that came out badly, parapsychological or preternatural happenings around, especially if you happen to be in the Pacific Northwest, as I am. As always, feel free to drop me a line and ask a question or make recommendations for places to visit and experience some wonderful unknowns. Send an email to creative_iRadio@daemuse.com or just visit us on over at the website at daymuse.com and use the contact form. That's probably easiest. And remember, day is spelled D like David, A apple, E Edward, Muse, M-U-S-E. It basically means creating inspiration, just like the radio station. So, come visit us at cenotaphstudios.com for more information on the upcoming series, The Road Less Traveled, or you can also get information again at the website daymuse.com. You can also find us on Twitter, either at daymuse or Creative iRadio. That's I as in the letter I. I'm Iolande V, wishing you and yours safe passage and an abundant life. Goodbye until next time.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Creative Inspiration Radio with Iolande V. For more information on paranormal, parapsychology, or preternatural phenomenon, visit us on the web at www.daymuse.com. That's DAEMUSE.com. And take part in one of our informative workshops. Also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Creative iRadio. Until next time, pleasant thoughts and abundance.